Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Tuesday, the 10th of May, 2016. Hope you're having a good week. It was an okay session. We had a great futures run again to start the day, and then the market was just kind of dead after that. We'll look at the intraday action here in a minute, but more importantly, there's a big thing to notice here on today's ES chart. So we're looking at here the daily chart of the ES front-month futures contract. This is the S&P in futures form, the proper way to look at the market. And you can see the seeker count on here. Now, we all know we had the 13 sell signal a few weeks back, and with that, we had room all the way up to the risk line, which is the pink line. We failed at that line. We never closed above it. So the sell signal is still in place, and the market is behaving technically as it should. Now, what I've done here, this is a little inside baseball for those who aren't familiar with the tool, but hopefully this will make sense. What I've done here is I put on projection mode, which means you can see the new green 8 under today's trading. Here's what that means. Today was up just slightly. It was pretty much a flat day in the market. Okay. If you know how the counts work here, we have to get the green numbers in numeric order. We need to get a certain criteria looking back 4 days, and we need to get it 9 in a row to get a new 9-bar count to the downside. Why does that matter? Well, we have 8 now, and we had a slightly updated, still got us towards a new downward count of 8. Tomorrow becomes a very important day, and here's why. When you get a 13 sell signal, there are 2 ways that the market technically fulfills that sell signal. Number one is if you head down and you get to the red static trend line that was created by that move. And that static trend line, as you can see and we've been talking about, is down near the 1890 level on the ES. The other way that you satisfy the sell signal is if you get a new 9-bar move to the downside. So tomorrow, if we close basically 1, 2, 3, well, we need to go down. If we drop about 5 points or more on the S&P tomorrow, that will complete the 9-bar startup phase to the downside, which means that technically we could still head lower, but technically we have fulfilled the sell signal's responsibility. So we paused, pulled back a little bit, and that's it. If, on the other hand, we do not go down at least 5 points tomorrow, it will erase, it will recycle, it will remove this new 9-bar count that you see, and we'll be starting over, which means then we have lots of energy left to head lower after that. So it's going to be very important. You need, let me get you the exact numbers here, actually, if I put on my, we need to close below 4 days back. So, yeah, you're going to have to close below 2046.75. Actually, we've got to lose about 8 points on the ES to get the 9th bar towards the startup phase. If we don't go down that much for the session, we will erase this entire 1 through 8 count that you see so far and have to start over, which means either a new count has to form heading lower, or we have to get all the way down to that red line still. So it's going to be a very important day, the way this tool works, in determining whether or not this was all we did was pause and pull back slightly, or if this has a lot of room still to turn over to the downside. All right, so let's look at some of the other things that happened today. Here's a 13 sell signal on the crude oil from just over a week ago, and we got a new low close since that signal, losing $1.37 to 43.27. So that signal is working so far. Gold down 27.60, also coming in a bit. The S&P cash index, as I said, was up about 1.5 points. No big deal. It was a pretty boring day. NDX up 11. That's not very exciting. SOX down less than a point, almost immeasurable. Biotech's bounced off. Now look at that red static trend line there. We bounced right off of it, up 65 for the day. The VIX lost 15 cents. Not a big deal. Tring, another high reading at 1.40. That takes the 10-day moving average up to 1.25. NASDAQ volume, unfortunately, was horrible. 1.45 billion shares on the NASDAQ. As you can see, one of the lightest of the year, probably in the bottom 10. And we knew that early on, so we got some stuff done early and then backed off. We don't overtrade dead markets like that. NASDAQ volume 207, NASDAQ advanced decline ratio plus 207. That means there were 207 stocks up, more stocks up than down. On the NASDAQ, on the New York, it was negative 188. Google up 395, making its way back up. Apple literally up 7 cents, closing at 92.79. Again, watch that 92 level on Apple. Every time it breaks that, that could be trouble. Amazon gained 580, coming near the all-time high once again. Netflix lost 30 cents, which is basically a non-event. All right, let's look at the intraday action. And again, you can barely see the gap down because it immediately jumped up and filled. We shot up for about 15 minutes. And that was almost the range for the day. That was it. We drifted back down to the lows. By lunchtime, we were in the middle of it all. Volume dropped way off. In the afternoon, it started to look like maybe we were going to head up. Remember that 2062.50 level on the ES? That's a big TriStar level we've been drawn to before. Thought maybe we'd get going, but we just didn't have the volume to get it done. Ended up fading back and closing right around the midpoint of the day. NASDAQ side did sweep the highs in the afternoon, but other than that, looks the same as the ES does. So nothing really new to say there in terms of data coming out tomorrow. We have 30 minutes into the stock market at 10 a.m. Eastern, JOLTS job openings and wholesale inventories, and that is it. Some bigger stuff to come later this week, but I'd say overall it's a light week for economic data. So we need hope that something else picks up the volume. Mondays are always a little bit slower, so while this was really bad, is not unusual for Monday to be a slower day. Tuesday and Wednesday should hopefully pick up. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal 12. If you've not yet taken the trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading Tuesday.